If you live in Southern California, I'd be very surprised if you hadn't thought to yourself at least once in the last couple weeks, damn. Things are getting expensive. Let's dive into why prices are going up nationwide, but also in San Diego specifically, and what we can expect moving forward. My name is Dan Parker and I'm a real estate agent here in sunny San Diego. So I was at one of my favorite fast casual local restaurants recently, and they had all of the menu prices on the menu blacked out, and they had a little sign by the register basically just apologizing, saying a lot of the cost of goods are skyrocketing for them, causing them to have to adjust the menu prices on a regular basis. And it's not just food. The cost of goods and services have been rising over the last couple months, and I wanted to really figure out why that is and what we can expect moving forward. And after a bit of research, I came up with three main factors of why we are seeing prices rising here in San Diego. Starting with supply chain issues. This is a term that you probably have heard recently. We're having hundreds and thousands of boats waiting off the coast for weeks at a time to be able to offload their goods. And this is a global issue that has impacted imported goods from all sorts of countries. There just isn't enough space to offload, and there aren't enough truck drivers to take the products from the docks to their final destination. There are many factors and opinions on why there is this supply chain issue, but there's one thing for certain: this is going to get worse before it gets better. People are expecting this to go all throughout 2022. And the next reason for rising prices is inflation. Over the last 2 years, we've seen the US government printing money at a crazy rate for stimulus packages. That's not to say that it wasn't necessary to help us get through a pandemic, but it's no surprise that we're seeing inflation at the highest rate that we've had since 1990. The inflation rate is up to 6.2% for the year in October of 2021. And the third reason of why we're seeing prices go up, especially here in California and in San Diego, is because of labor costing more money. Now we have things like the minimum wage in California has gone up by $1 every year for the last couple of years. It's about to go up to $15 an hour here in 2022. But you also have a lack of employees in certain industries, especially the service industry. So for hotels and restaurants. Throughout the pandemic, there were months at a time where these places had closed, and a lot of the employees found work elsewhere. They got a different type of job, and they're still recovering from that. So in order to stay fully staffed, they're having to raise their prices, their wages that they're offering in order to bring people on. Just imagine being a small business owner in San Diego right now, facing things like raising costs in energy, in goods and services, in labor. All of these things, you're absolutely gonna have to raise your prices just in order to stay alive. So now let's talk about what it actually costs in San Diego, starting with gas. Gas in San Diego has gone up. I mean, it's gone up in all of California, and the reality is there's a lot of the cost of gas in California has to do with the taxes that they've imposed on that gas. But right now, currently, the average price in California is $4.67 per gallon.
No way!
That is a lot of cheddar. And the other aspects of energy is electricity and natural gas. SDG&E, San Diego Gas and Electric, over the last 12 months, we've seen prices increase by roughly 20%. So for the average homeowner for a 3 to 4 bedroom household, you're gonna see anywhere from $150 to $300 a month. A lot of that hike has to do with the natural gas, but at the end of the day, it's still what you're paying to be able to keep the lights on, to keep the gas running. And you're usually gonna pay more money if you're running the AC a lot. So that's one of the biggest factors in energy costs for residential homes. All right, let's talk food. Let's say you wanna go out to a fast casual restaurant. You can expect to pay anywhere from $10 to $16 per entree. And this is even for lunch items, for sandwiches, burritos. The cost on all these items are starting at around $10 now going into 2022. And if you want to go to more of a sit-down, casual / fine dining restaurant, I think you should expect to pay at least $15 per entree, up to $30. And that's not talking about like the ultra premium stuff. You want to get a nice ribeye steak, Maine lobster tail.
I'll have the surf and turf.
Those are definitely going to be significantly more, but just on average, around $15 to $30 on those nicer sit-down restaurants. If you're looking to have a beverage with this meal, it's probably gonna be around $7 to $8 for a pint of beer, and anywhere from $10 to $15 for a cocktail. That's right, most cocktails that I'm seeing now in San Diego are starting at around $10, and it's not too irregular to see them go up to $15, $16 for a signature cocktail.
Too rich for my blood.
And now let's talk about the elephant in the room: housing. There's no doubt it's expensive to buy a house in San Diego when you compare it to the rest of the country. But it's worth noting that the city of San Diego isn't even on the list of top 10 most expensive cities in California. And when you look at the most expensive zip codes across the US, only 3 of them are in San Diego. Only 1 of them is in the top 50 list. So is San Diego expensive? Yes. It is not a cheap place. From most places, moving to San Diego, it's gonna cost more money. But there are still a lot of places that are more expensive, like San Francisco in the Bay Area, LA, Orange County, New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C. A lot of these areas, the housing prices are actually above what they are in San Diego. And just to give you a little forewarning, I think that San Diego is going to start inching closer to the top of that list as more and more people are working remote. But as we're going into 2022, the median detached property in San Diego is $849,000, and the median attached property, so we're talking condos and townhomes, is $566,000. Now, the absolutely most common request that I get for people wanting to buy a house in San Diego is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath minimum in a nice neighborhood. And really, I think you're gonna have to have a budget of at least $800,000 to be able to make that happen in San Diego. But also, most of the people, when they have those goals, and even if they're looking at the lower end of their budget, usually they end up buying a house between $900,000 and $1.1 million. So that's more or less kind of at the bottom end of the range if you want to start in a quote unquote nice neighborhood, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And if you use that same criteria, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, in a nice neighborhood, move-in ready for a townhouse or condo, you're starting at around $550,000 to maybe $600,000. This is gonna vary a lot depending on where you wanna live. You can certainly find it for $550,000 in San Diego, maybe even a little bit less. But if you want to be in, like, let's say one of the newer communities, like in Mission Valley over by Savita, you're probably gonna start more along the $800,000 to $850,000 range. So it just depends on where you want to be and what exactly you're looking for. And again, you can find homes for less money than this, and what I'm saying is the starting point. There are homes that are cheaper than that, but I'm just saying realistically, from the clients that I work with, based on their desires, based on what they're looking for, based on their kind of minimum standards of move-in readiness, what type of neighborhood they wanna be in, that's usually where a lot of my clients end up. And of course, $1 million question is, are we gonna see prices continue to rise? Are we gonna hit a bubble? I mean, what do you think? When you're watching this video right now, do you think prices are gonna start coming down in San Diego? Are they gonna stay where they're at, or are they gonna continue to rise? Over the last 12 months, we've seen appreciation of 20% in San Diego County. Prices have gone up by 20%. And although that's starting to slow down, I think a majority of that 20% was at the first half of the last 12 months. It started to slow down a little bit. I can tell you, if you're a buyer in this market right now, you're still having a hard time finding and securing a home. So as we look into 2022, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we can continue to see prices rising. And this isn't just my opinion. This is what experts are saying all over the place. Major investors or real estate investors out there are still buying homes like crazy because they anticipate prices to continue to rise. And even online portals that specialize in data, like Zillow, are predicting an 11.7% increase in home values across the US in 2022. And if that's happening across the US, I can guarantee you San Diego prices are gonna go up at a higher rate because we have such a massive, massive housing shortage right now. And like I said at the beginning of the video, we have a lot of people moving here because they can work remote and they want to live in a place that has great weather. So exactly how long can we expect prices to go up in San Diego County? I like to shoot for an 18-month mark. Not because I feel like we're gonna see any meaningful reduction of prices after that, but I think it's harder to predict out more than 18 months. So for the next year and a half, we're gonna see prices continue to rise. And there's, probably a pretty small chance that prices are gonna come down by any meaningful amount during those 18 months. So if you are looking to buy a house in San Diego County, make sure to watch this video on the neighborhoods to avoid. And also, we'd be happy to help you. Me and my team, we are helping people buy and sell homes all over San Diego County, and we're here if you need it. Info is down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.